coach, and those are just a few of the many titles Roger "Hunky" Hall from Letcher County held. Hall died on Wednesday at age 71. WYMT's Katie Cook talked to some people who knew Hunky very well to find out why he will be greatly missed.
It's difficult to describe someone without knowing them personally, but just by talking with a few people who knew him.
So I was very close to him and very honored that he would let me call him friend, and honored even more when he would call me friend.
Roger, or Hunky Hall's passion for helping others was something special.
He always left the situation better than when he found it.
A Vietnam-era veteran and a man who wore many hats in Jenkins.
I think, though, the thing that he most was proud of was the fact that he was also a coach for baseball and football.
Touching the lives of many students.
The kids loved him all the way up through adulthood, so I mean, it's everybody really loved Hunky.
He was a deputy sheriff, firefighter, corrections officer, and sat on the board of many organizations.
He accomplished a ton of stuff. A lot of stuff he wouldn't brag on himself, so you have to ask others about it.
It seems that one thing made Hunky different from the rest.
Hunky was had a good sense of humor. He was definitely a hard worker, but he loved to have fun and have a good time.
Yet just another way he impacted those around him.
He was the type of guy, though, that you would, you know, even in a bad situation, you know, if Hunky showed up on the scene, he could lighten the mood.
So, with heavy hearts,
wouldn't it be a nice place if everybody could serve others the way Hunky does and the way he taught his sons to?
People in Letcher County are having to say goodbye. In Letcher County, Katie Cook, WYMT Mountain News.
A public memorial service for Roger "Hunky" Hall is going to be held tomorrow, and we have those details on where it's at on WYMT.com. One person was flown to the hospital after a shooting in Boyd County. Dispatchers say they got the call around 3 this morning. The shooting happened at Court of Three Sisters Trailer Park. We do not know the victim's condition or the motive behind the shooting at this time. A group formed by the legislature to study the feasibility of privatizing foster care says Kentucky should focus on strengthening the system it already has. The problems include record numbers of minors in and out of home care, high caseworker turnover, and low retention rates, and insufficient funding. Repeat recommendations include lessening care worker workloads. Crews in Lawrence County battled a transformer fire today. Around 4:30, this transformer caught fire at Riverside Generating. Firefighters say they do not know what caused the fire at this time. Part of the road was shut down while they battled the flames earlier today. We now know the funeral arrangements for former Kentucky quarterback Jared Lorenzen. A visitation will be held on Wednesday at the St. Pius X Church in Edgewood from 2 till 6, and a burial service will follow. Lorenzen died on Wednesday. He was just 38 years old. Teams with the Kentucky Energy and Environment Cabinet were back on the Kentucky River today. They're monitoring the effects of the Jim Beam fire from earlier this week. And here's some video of the river today. Officials are seeing more dead and dying fish on the water there. They say the alcohol plume now stretches 23 miles. It's expected that will reach the Ohio River on Monday. Teams collected river samples today. They're also checking out the Kentucky River to hopefully help improve the dissolved oxygen levels.
It was definitely a hot and humid day across southern and eastern Kentucky, and those hot and humid conditions created a few showers and storms, and we're actually tracking a few of those right now on Pinpoint Doppler. You can see up into the upper end of the Kentucky River Valley from West Liberty over towards Salyersville, north of Paintsville, and over towards Louisa along US 23. A area of thunderstorms is currently rolling through the region. Now with these, we're seeing a bit of heavy rain and some gusty winds and a little bit of light. And those storms will continue to push off to the east. They will continue to weaken as we go through the overnight hours now that the sun has set. That heat from the sun was part of the fuel for these storms. Also a decent little cell just to the north of London, east of Livingston. That's about to cross over into portions of Jackson and Clay County, and that will also continue to move to the east-northeast over the next few hours. Temperatures currently into the mid-70s after topping out just shy of 90 today. However, dew points running very high, low 70s. That is a tropical air mass currently sitting on top of the Bluegrass State. So oppressive humidity levels will continue through the overnight. Not going to get much relief from the heat if you open up those windows. Speaking of open up, let's open up the WYMT weather app. Take a look at the forecast tonight. You see we'll go into the low 70s for lows. So not much relief from that heat through the overnight, and thunderstorms become a little bit more widespread during the afternoon tomorrow. And after that, the pattern actually looks a little bit quieter. We'll have more on the full forecast here in just a few minutes, Macy.
All right, thanks, Shane. People in California dealing with the aftermath of a 7.1 magnitude earthquake. It hit Friday night, a day after another quake, both centered near Ridgecrest, California. Camelia Burnell has the latest.
Going for quite a bit, everybody.
Panic as a second major earthquake hit California Friday night.
8:21 here on the air. We're experiencing very strong shaking. Wow. I think we need to get under the desk.
The latest one 11 times stronger than the first. Authorities say it triggered gas leaks and structure fires throughout Ridgecrest. Rock slides shutting down State Route 178 through the Kern River Canyon.
The damage that we are seeing this morning in the light is not as extensive as one could have expected. Now, keep that in mind that we are going to be continuing to do extensive damage assessments.
Officials say there are no fatalities or major injuries. Crews are moving quickly to get things back up and running. Power has been restored to most customers, and many major stores are open. Now damage assessment teams and structural engineers are on the ground.
That's really to go in and start looking at a little bit more granular review of the damage that has occurred. That helps us to build what are we looking at like in total losses.
The governor has requested a presidential emergency declaration for assistance. Meanwhile, California residents are warned to be ready for another event.
It's just imperative that you are prepared no matter where you are. This 4th of July weekend, I'm sure we didn't expect this. And so make sure that you equip not only your homes, but your vehicles as well.
In Ridgecrest, California, I'm Camila Burnell reporting.
Officials say all roads did open back up, and Red Cross shelters will stay open as long as needed in the area. Police and emergency crews are trying to find out what caused a massive blast that injured at least 20 people and destroyed a shopping center in Plantation, Florida this morning. Half of the strip mall has been flattened, and the gym across the street is heavily damaged. The Plantation Fire Department called it a gas explosion. Dozens of firefighters responded and could be seen picking through the rubble with dogs sniffing through the debris. Thousands of motorcyclists rumbled across New Hampshire roadways today to honor 7 bikers killed in a collision with a pickup truck last month. Organizers of the Ride for the Fallen 7 say the event started out as a way for some motorcyclists to remember the bikers with a ride to the crash site in Randolph. A memorial service will be held at a motel where those bikers had stayed. President Trump says he's working on a way to bypass a Supreme Court ruling and add a citizenship question to the 2020 census. After a week of back and forths and a decision deadline that has come and gone, the Justice Department said Friday it's still looking for a legal way to include the question on the survey. President Trump is spending the weekend at his golf resort in Bedminster, New Jersey.
President Trump says his administration is looking at this very seriously and has several options at its disposal, including an executive order.
As he left the White House for his New Jersey golf club for the weekend, President Trump set off a new controversy over the 2020 census.
We're spending $15 to $20 billion on a census, and you're not allowed to ask them, are you a citizen?
The president confirmed he is considering an executive order to include a question on citizenship after the Supreme Court blocked the administration from doing it last month. And that's not the only idea under consideration.
So we can start the printing now and maybe do an addendum after we get a positive decision.
Friday, the Justice Department told a federal judge it's continuing to look for legal grounds. But earlier this week, the agency, along with the Commerce Department, indicated it would move forward without the question. Printing has already started on the government survey, taken every 10 years, to determine everything from federal funding to seats in Congress.
You need it for appropriations. Where are the funds going? How many people are there? Are they citizens? Are they not citizens?
Opponents say the citizenship question is being used as a political tool.
If we don't take it, we're going to lose a lot of support for our communities in our regions.
Immigrant advocates also rallied in Washington Friday with calls to abolish ICE.
This administration is attacking and destroying our families.
The president said deportation roundups would start fairly soon to remove undocumented immigrants.
Well, I don't call them raids. I say they came in illegally and we're bringing them out legally.
He also defended conditions at migrant detention centers along the southern border, following an internal watchdog report that described a ticking time bomb at some facilities, including overcrowding and a lack of hot meals.
I've seen some of those places and they are run beautifully. They're clean, they're good, they do a great job.
Meanwhile, a U.S. District Court judge in New York has set a hearing for July 23rd to hear arguments on stopping President Trump's administration from amending the 2020 census. The judge will hear from the ACLU, NYCLU, and the New York State Attorney General's office. The ACLU said in a statement that President Trump's administration has now changed their tune because the Supreme Court ruled against them. They can't have it both ways. And in D.C. today, protesters at dueling rallies in Washington have dispersed after some tense moments. Counter-protesters set up shop directly across the street from a planned alt-right event just blocks from the White House. Some of them tried to infiltrate that rally, but police kept them at bay. Others marched through the street before returning to their designated counter-protest area. And still to come on Mountain News Weekend Edition. Join us in celebrating a woman's 110th birthday and hear her advice about living a long and happy life.